It's important to be properly ground balanced when you're metal detecting, especially when you're prospecting. A lot of this ground has a lot of high mineralization in it. So as I get into this area, I want to be sure that I'm properly ground balanced. First, I'm going to do so automatically. I'm simply going to push the ground balance button and hold it while I bob the coil up and down an inch or two above the ground and listen to the response. When I've got it to a very quiet or near quiet mode, now I can hunt with stable operation and pick up a good target, but not get all the response from the ground. The AT Gold can also be manually ground balanced, and if you want to go with that option, you simply press the ground balance button and release it until you see the ground balance sign come up on the LCD, and then use the plus or minus buttons here as you're bouncing it up and down to run it up until I get rid of that sound, and run it back down to where I just start to pick up a little bit of interference and then just lose it. And if I'm happy with that setting, I can click the button again and I'm ready to start hunting. The AT Gold's ground balance window is a powerful feature for overcoming various ground variations or anomalies. In the average hunting environment most people will encounter, the ground balance window's factory default setting of 2 will not need to be changed at all. Now, to demonstrate where ground balance window really comes into play, I'll go through several demonstrations here in our Garrett test lanes. The ground balance window only applies to the all metal mode. So to change the window settings, I use the ground balance push button and the plus or minus iron disc push buttons. After you change the window setting, push the ground balance button again to begin operation. Now, this test lane contains highly mineralized soil. You can hear it react. So when I ground balance the AT Gold, I have a reading of 85 on there now. One important thing to note about ground balancing, when you ground balance the detector in mineralized soil like this, it's very important that you ground balance at the search height, at the level you're going to sweep the coil above the ground. In neutral ground, there's not much penalty to this. In this hot ground where it's highly mineralized, I want to balance my coil as close to the ground as possible because that's where I'll be sweeping the coil, right above or right on the ground. My reading is 85 when I ground balanced. Now, if I stood here and ground balanced the coil several inches above the ground, I might get a slightly different reading in different terrains. So in this case, it's always going to get your best results when you got the coil ground balanced at the level where you're going to sweep it. In this case, I'm getting right down on the ground. And I've got a reading of 85 on my ground balance. Now, for this demonstration, we've added another pocket of soil here that's a different color. Both of these soils are very highly mineralized. The difference is the concentration, the level of concentration of the minerals here. But we've used a different color soil just so it stands out and you can see the variance. Of course, when you're out in the field, you're not going to have this luxury. So when the soil is relatively flat and it's the same color, you're not going to be able to see when you've passed over different pockets of mineralization. But for this test, this will make it easier to determine where the different patch of mineralization concentration is. So to test these ground anomalies that we've created here, I'm going to start with a ground balance window setting of 0. So I'm going to go into my ground balance window and drop it down to 0 from the factory default that was 2. So now I'm at 0 and I'm running like any other VLF detector that's in an all metal mode right now. Now, as I move the coil over these different pockets of mineral concentration, listen to the response. I've got the threshold up a little bit so you can hear the audio without the headphones, but you can hear a response from this different pocket of soil concentration.